going to have a crazy year. I think we predicted him that fourth with our lineup.
I like that. I think we did. I don't know.
Yeah. I think he could honestly hit over 35 bombs this year.
That's really bold. That is bold. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 450 Dead Center channel. Chris here with Daniel.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we got another top 5 list because people like top 5 lists. That's just how YouTube is.
I like top 5. It's easy to talk about.
Exactly.
And easy to edit after.
And there's always content to talk about. You can be like top 5 worst players, top 5 best players. But today we are talking about 5 Jays who we think could have a breakout season in 2023. I was going to say 2022, but it's 2023, so.
And I could tell, and I also could hear you hit your bowl or whatever you just hit.
Oh, that is downstairs making dinner right now.
Not me. Of course.
Yes.
But with you guys being said, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button down below. On the road to 1,000.
Yep, almost there.
Trying to get there. All our friends are already there, so
yes,
that's great.
Good job.
Shout out to them. You guys are great.
Out. Yep.
And yeah, let's just get right into it, Chris. So I mean, first guy for the breakout, and I will preference. So me and Chris made a list of 5 breakout players.
Mm-hmm.
We are considering breakout players to either haven't got a chance in the MLB yet, or they haven't lived up to their true potential that we think. Just to clarify that. Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot of guys who we think could have a breakout. Like Vlad could have a breakout year, even though he already had one. But he's already, Kirk could have a breakout year, but we're not going to include them because they've already had a slight breakout year already. So yeah, we're gonna start off. I don't know who's number first or one on our list, not really too sure, but
the bottom to the top of what I put in there.
Yeah.
So I guess our first guy here that we think, and if this guy would actually make his MLB debut this year, and that's Addison Barger. He's currently listed to be on the on the opening day roster as of now, before spring training.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Chris, you're a big fan of him, so I'll let you take it away about him.
I like Addison Barger. Like, you remember how much I liked Jordan Groshans back in the day?
Yes, the OG fans will
the OG
that.
fans. So that has gone straight to Barger now because I don't know. He's got a cool name. Sort of sounds like Burger a little bit. And he could potentially in the future be like the Matt Chapman replacement if Chapman doesn't sign an extension. And also, this guy is projected, he's projected to be on the opening day roster this year, and I think Fangraphs is projected him at 20 bombs. So, I mean, dude's got power for a rookie. I don't think that'll really happen. I think he'll probably come up, at maybe September call-ups, but who really knows? I'm not really too sure.
I think a lot of it depends on how he does in AAA to start the year, because that's where I think he'll be. I think he'll start in AAA.
Sure. Yeah, 100%.
Unless he has an insane spring training.
If this guy absolutely pops off in spring training, I wouldn't be surprised. We saw him climb from low A to I think was it AAA last year, and he was fantastic. He was the arguably the best minor league Blue Jay player last year, maybe other than Ricky Tiedemann. But then I think he was shut down for a little bit at the end of the year just to save his arm. So. Yeah, Barger's
if Barger comes out in the spring training and hits 600 with a 900 OBS or something crazy like this,
you can't say no to put him on the
day
team
roster.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can at that point. But I think he'll start in AAA realistically.
That's fair.
And I think he will come up. I feel like he'll come up around May. That's my assumption.
I like it. I really do like that. I'm not sure how the depth of our bench is so far, and he's a middle infielder or middle corner infield type of guy minus first base. So I want to see him up there. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's 25 years old, so he's young. So yeah.
And he's a lefty bat, which is nice because we do know the Jays have a ton of righties as well. The only thing I know about Barger that's a little bit concerning is I know his defense is not the best. It's not terrible, but it's not great. You know what I mean? It's about average.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something you could always work on. Right now, obviously I would want the bat over his defense. Plus, we got Matt Chapman up there. So, we have a Chapman for at least this year, and I think we'll probably sign him to at least maybe another 2-year deal. But then after Chapman's gone, that gives Barger, a couple years to learn from, arguably the best third baseman in the league, defensively wise.
And I think if he does come up, I think you're right. I think he will be a third baseman replacement for Chapman for those off days that Chapman needs.
Exactly.
I think you could see some other players play there. Maybe Santi plays a couple of games there. But I think Barger would probably be the main guy if everything pans out.
I agree, and I just like young prospects. I was really mad when they traded Jordan Groshans because I was big fan of him, and I'm really proud that he did good in Miami last year. But Barger's the next guy up on my list, so I like it.
I like it. We'll move on to number 2 here, Chris, that we have. And this guy, I don't think I don't think fans realize how good this player actually is. And that's why I think he's going to have a breakout year in this case. And that's Dalton Marshall.
Yeah.
We just traded for him. And if you guys look at this guy's stats, I don't think people understand how good he is.
They're so good. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the entire MLB. And yeah, he's had good seasons so far, but you don't see people talking about him. And granted, he did play with the Diamondbacks, so who really looks at them? But still, if he can put up what he did with the Diamondbacks at the Jays, he'll get so much more attention here in Toronto, even in the AL East and the whole American League, and people will know the name Varsho.
Especially the one thing that Varsho brings to the Jays that we've talked about in our trade video for him. So if you haven't seen that, go definitely check that out. But the one thing that he brings to the Jays is a superior defense, especially with this crazy outfield that they've assembled in terms of all the bumps and bruises and the Ricks and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna need some good defense, and I'm very excited to see Varsho out there in left field.
I am as well, and I mean, recently we just seen the Jays' dimensions for their outfield getting changed. The wall I think has gone from 8 feet to 10 feet, or 6 feet to 8 feet, or something like that. So yeah, that'll also stop the risk of players to try to rob home runs climbing the fence. Obviously, it'll still happen, but I think it's maybe gives them more of the mindset to, the ball's over my head. Maybe I'll play it off the wall instead of barrel rolling into the fence or something. So. Yeah, I think there'll be less injuries this year because of that. But then again, you never know. Wouldn't be surprised if somebody tries to rob one.
Exactly. And I just pulled up Varsho's stats quickly from last year, just so people realize. Keep in mind, this guy played in Arizona, which is a big ballpark, right?
Big ballpark, big boy ballpark.
You play in naturally big ballparks besides Coors Field, which is pretty hitter friendly. But I mean,
fair.
Oakland's a huge ballpark, right? So he's going to play some games there, and everything else is about average. San Diego's pretty average, but
Dodger Stadium, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's all about average. But he hit 27 home runs last year.
He did.
Now bring him to Toronto, where the right field's coming in as a lefty. Yankee Stadium has a short fence.
It does. Camden Yards,
and he has
short.
pop to go the opposite way too. So even a opposite field bomb over the Green Monster is possible.
It's true. Yeah, no, for sure. And if anything, he'll hit a double, right?
Exactly. So and he's pretty fast. He swiped 16 bags last year. That's not nothing to
and he can play catcher. Just throw that in the mix as well.
Exactly. I think people are going to realize how good this guy actually is. I think he's going to have a crazy year. I think we predicted him to bat 4th with our lineup.
I like that. I think we did. I don't remember.
Yeah, something like that. He was somewhere in the middle.
He mixes up the lefties and righties, so I think that's why we put him 4th.
Yeah, I think he could honestly hit over 35 bombs this year.
That's
I really
bold.
do.
That is bold, especially if he's playing every day. He won't have to catch as well, so he'll just keep the reps in the outfield.
Every day you're playing in Toronto, which has a shorter fence naturally, half of your games. You're playing in Yankee Stadium, some games that has a shorter fence. 35 bombs is definitely a real possibility, I think, for him.
I think so as well. I think he'll have a great season, great breakout, and this will be a true breakout season for Varsho. And by the end of the year, I think Jays fans will be like, oh, Moreno and Gurriel, that's it? That's all we gave up for him? Now people are like, it's kind of a lot. But, by the end of the year, I'm going to be like, yeah, we fleeced the Diamondbacks.
Exactly. Let's move on to number 3 here, Chris, that we have.
Yeah.
And this guy, I hope he makes... I hope this guy stays healthy. 'Cause that's this guy's big problem. And that's Nate Pearson.
Yeah, we've actually spoken about Nate Pearson a lot recently.
Yeah.
Just on players who we think could be in the rotation, not maybe rotation, more impact arms for the bullpen or something this year. Nate Pearson, for me, is the hit or miss guy. If he's on, he will be just so good for this bullpen, especially having a guy who could just chuck 99 out of the wazoo. He'll be amazing. But then if he's injured, then really nothing really has changed from last year, so it's not the biggest loss.
And I mean, we've talked about, this guy's due to have a breakout season. This guy had, if not even more hype than Alek Manoah. And look what Alek Manoah
he had
done.
so much more. Nate Pearson had so much more hype. He was rated, I think, the #1 right-handed pitcher, and I believe going into the 2020 season, prospect-wise, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And he's just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And he hasn't, even when he's been healthy, he's been average. He hasn't been amazing. There's been some good spots here or there where he's been really, really, you look at him and go, wow, this guy's talented.
Yeah, really the only time we saw that at the professional level was in the 2020 wild card games against Tampa, but
Tampa.
other than that, he's just had control issues. And I mean, he's good. We've seen him in AAA and AA, just light him up. But he needs to do in the MLB.
He just hasn't put it together. I hope he does because I am rooting for this guy. I think he's got all the talent in the world, and I would love to see a big, whatever, 6 foot plus, 100-mile-per-hour guy come out of the Jays bullpen, which is where I think he's going to be this year.
I agree.
But yeah, like we said, it's time for him to break out. He's due. It's just this guy has too much talent and too much upside for him not to stay healthy for 1 year. You know what I mean?
And honestly, the Jays are in a good place because considering a couple years ago, we're like, oh, we need Nate Pearson in this rotation. Now we're just like, well, he'd be nice in the rotation, but then we got a Ricky Tiedemann, Zulueta coming up. Manoah's like pumping, like pretending to be like a Cy Young Award winner coming up there soon. We got Ryu possibly coming back from Tommy John surgery. So having Nate Pearson as like a potential swingman or even like mid to late inning reliever is just a great place to be in.
I hope, like I said, I hope he stays healthy, and I'm rooting for this guy. I can't wait to see him chuck 100 out of the pen.
I can't wait. It'll be great.
Now, let's move on to number 4 here, Chris. I was trying to think of an introduction for this guy, but I actually just couldn't think of one because he's just such a mainstay on this team, but he's been so average.
Yeah.
And that's Danny Jansen. And people are going to hate me for that because they're going to be like, oh, he had such a great year where he's good defensively, but he doesn't get the recognition around the league.
He doesn't. Like, everybody's rating Kirk higher than him in terms of catcher rankings this year, which is completely fair and justified because Kirk did make the All-Star team last year. But in terms of calling a game, handling a pitching rotation, even in terms of just straight, like, power, I got to give it to Danny Jansen. Even, like, obviously, in terms of defense as well, Danny Jansen's way better. Yeah. But he just, if he could stay healthy, play, like, I don't know, like, at least over 80 games. You know, if he splits 50-50 with Kirk, that's fine. But if he could play 80 games, like we saw last year, he was so good. For once, he hit. It was great. And the Jays' winning percentage was like .750 with Danny Jansen in the batting lineup compared to when he wasn't. So
it just shows that Danny Jansen makes the team better. Not only on the defensive side, but when he's on offensively, he's really good. He's got some power. I can't remember the last time a Jays catcher I looked at and went, man, this guy's got some pop.
Yeah, like maybe like the first year of Russell Martin, but that's really about it.
Maybe the first year of Russell Martin, and even before that, I think like J. Pierre and Sebia is the guy I'm thinking of before.
Well, didn't he have like a 3-homer game in his first ever MLB game, and it was just downhill from there?
Like, besides that, Danny Jansen had some consistent pop last year. He put up some good numbers.
He did.
His average is always going to float around 225, 230, whatever.
I don't care, whatever.
Right? But he's going to call you like 9 innings of beautiful baseball. He knows how to handle a pitching staff. You've heard from multiple pitchers who have said, like, I want to throw to Danny Jansen. So,
except Manoah. Manoah just loves Kirk, which is so funny.
But, like, it's fair.
So do I.
I mean, Osmond was very vocal last year. He wants Jansen behind the plate, right?
Yeah.
So was Barrios. Barrios was very vocal, too, that he wanted Jansen behind the plate.
I mean,
so
Ryu and Jansen, like, best combo right there.
Exactly. Like, Jansen's impact on this team is far beyond his offensive ability. I was just thinking of the word there for a second. Far from his offensive ability. Yeah. If he could just get the offense going, this guy he could have an all-star type season.
He could, and I would not be surprised if Danny Jansen puts up like 25 plus home runs this year if he plays like over 100 games. Like last year, I think he played like 60 games and he had like 20 home runs. Like that was insane. He was really good. If you could pull up Danny Jansen's stats real quick, like for a 162 game season, I think that Danny Jansen was going to average around like 50 or 45 home runs, which is unbelievable for a catcher. Like the last time we saw that actually, it was Salvador Perez back in 2021, so not that long ago. But before that,
Jansen last year in 72 games.
Yeah.
He had 215 at-bats, scored 34 runs, hit 15 bombs with a 260 average and a 340 on base with an OPS of 855 with an OPS plus of 141.
I believe that led the team in OPS plus, but then again, it was a smaller sample size compared to other guys. But if he can do that over a year, I assume that'll probably average out to about like 130, 125, 120. That is still 20% better than a league average hitter. And if you're having that as your catcher,
especially if you add like 10, 15 more games on there, he can get the 20 home runs.
He can easily.
15 and 70 games is nothing. Like,
that's
right?
really good. That is really good. You double that, that's what, 30 home runs right there? That's pretty much the whole season. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, assuming he played 140 games. But
yeah, of course.
whatever. He'll probably sit around 120 because I like him behind the plate more than Kirk. No
For
offense
sure.
to Kirk, but Jansen, just the defensive value that Jansen brings behind the plate is way superior
No, it
to
is.
anyone.
It is.
If he
It
can get
is.
this offense going, if he can hit that 250 again,
Ooh.
pack on a couple more home runs, stay healthy. I mean, that's the Hall of Fame. I was about to say that's an all-star type season right there.
That is an all-star type season, and that's like borderline top 5 catcher in the league type season right there, and arguably top 3 depending how like Adley Rutschman does next year and some other guys.
Yeah, he'll have some tough competition, but I mean, Danny, I'm rooting for you. I'm gonna go to games. Hopefully, you keep your streak up of hitting home
See you
runs when
there.
I'm there.
Yep, every time we go, Danny Jansen, it's a bomb. It's great.
Love him. Danny Dingers, gotta love him.
Danny Dingers, yep.
Let's move on here. Last guy, and I'll let you take this away, Chris, because I know this is your absolute favorite player. So
This is my absolute favorite player, and it sucks to say because he's probably not even going to be in a starting role this year unless he has a breakout season. We're going with Cavan Biggio because he's part of that big 3 with Vlad and Bo, but he hasn't performed like the big 3, like Vlad and Bo. And I just want to see Cavan just be like a starting second baseman in the MLB. And granted, it's going to be harder this year because we have Whit Merrifield now as well playing second base. But like, I do think if Whit Merrifield wasn't on the team, I think Biggio probably would not have gotten the nod at second base anyway. I think it would have been Espinal playing second. But
I think that's a fair assumption.
I know, and I'm a biggest, completely biased Cavan Biggio fan here. But all this guy needs to do is hit like 240 even, like at the maximum. And then at that point, his on-base percentage will creep up to like 370. That's just how many walks he takes. And I would love to see a breakout season from him.
I'm gonna piggyback off that. I mean, you got to remember the one thing that might help Cavan this year is the band of the shift.
Oh,
right.
I forgot about that.
Well, they're getting rid of the shift this year. Cavan was shifted one of them by other teams other teams was shift against Cavan. I think one of the most on the Blue Jays.
Like I swear they did the 4-man outfield against him
all the time.
It's weird.
Yeah, all the time. And the third baseman who is basically playing like left of second base.
Yeah, because that's how much Cavan pulls the ball. So if they can't do that, then Cavan, I mean, there's how many times last year that this guy hit a ground ball to like second base, but would have been a base hit if there wasn't a shift there. Like how many times did that happen last year? Like a lot, right?
You're right, a ton. Like there's nothing to say about it. It's that shift really hurt him, as well as his ability or his inability to go the other way with the ball. It's kind of hurting him.
It is.
As well as I think when they tried to move him around, that didn't help either.
I think it just killed his confidence.
Right, that just killed his confidence when they tried to put him in the outfield, which like
hey,
he'll probably will play some outfield.
Third base was worse.
Third base was tough. Like both of them, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But this shift's getting removed, as well as the right field wall coming in. Right? How many times did we see Cavan Biggio hit a fly ball to the warning track in right field last year?
Oh, a
fly ball to right center.
Him and Matt Chapman did that so much last year, and I was so mad every time because I'm like, oh, Biggio digger, let's bring out the air horns. And then it was a little fly ball to the warning track, and I was pissed. But
exactly. And now it's coming in, 8 feet? That's a home run. Or if not, it's off the wall. That's a double. Cavan's pretty fast, right?
Oh, that's arguably a triple. Like, he's one of the fastest players on the team, if not probably the fastest, maybe?
I just pulled up his stats from last year. In 90 games, it's such a lackluster sample size. 6 home runs, 24 RBIs, like a 202 average, a 668 OPS. Like
not good. Not good.
It's not good.
No.
And we've seen this guy in the minors tear it up. At one point, he was more hyped than he looked like he was going to pan out more than Vlad and Bo.
Well, in the year when him, Bo, and Vlad were in Double-A, Biggio won the Double-A MVP. I believe for the Fisher Cats. I don't know about the whole league, but I know for sure he was the Fisher Cats MVP, and he hit like 30 home runs that year, so he's got power there. But where did it go?
I think, like you said, I think it's a mixture of confidence. It's a mixture of that shift, because I doubt in the minors they shifted as much against him as they did.
No
it was
way.
like every
No
at bat they were moving over against
Oh,
him. Even
yeah.
with the runner at second, they were moving over.
I know. It's just, what the heck, guys? Come on. Just if you could have dropped like a fat peach down the line, like a nice bunty right there, like sure he would have got. I think he did that a couple times. I was just like, yes, get him on base percentage.
Until they started countering it, and then it was like, oh well, I'm
like,
screwed now,
yeah,
right? So
much.
if Cavan could hit with the shifts gone, the wall coming in, if he could hit like 250,
that'd be nice.
Cut down on his strikeouts a little bit.
You know what he needs? He needs the robot umpires, because this guy, most of the time, he's right and the umpire's wrong. But I know you can't leave those borderline pitches with 2 strikes in like a big bases loaded situation here. But like he's right. I'm not gonna say he's wrong with the calls that he doesn't like swing at because they're outside of the zone. But I mean, it's baseball. You gotta take a hack at those.
If he can fix the plate approach a little bit, cut down his strikeouts, and find a nice role in that second base, like he could at least platoon second base and bat against right-handed pitchers.
For sure, exactly. And then also, don't even forget, he's one of, if not the smartest base runners in like the whole league. Like he just has that instinct of when to steal and when not to steal. Like I believe he's been thrown out once in his whole life.
So he's currently 25 for 26 in his career.
He was thrown out once, and I don't even know who threw him out, but it was like a magician throw and tag right there. It was beautiful.
I'm pretty sure it was like Yadier Molina or like
probably
like it was
Will
some great.
Smith. I don't know.
It was someone really really good defensively. Anyhow, if Cabot can get it together, like you there's our platoon second baseman. You have him versus righties, versus lefties, let's say, or Santi versus lefties, and then the other one. Yeah, the other one becomes expendable.
Exactly. And I think any of the three, maybe besides Witt, because, you know, he's on a contract year, are expendable. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if Espinal or Biggio get traded. I do think Espinal has more value right now because he does have that all-star under his belt. Yeah. But either way, like, I mean, I think Biggio will have a breakout year.
I like it. I'm rooting for Biggio.
Yes.
Let us know what you guys think down below. We'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let us know who you think is going to have a breakout year, and we'll see you guys all next time.